My pleasure to present our speaker for today, Reverend Glenn Stocking.
Good morning, everyone. How are you? It's great to see you again. Are you hearing me okay?
Yes, we are.
Okay, great. Just want to make sure I'm not talking to myself over here. Okay. I love hearing Daniel. I had the pleasure of being in the same room with him a couple of weeks ago. Unfortunately, it was for a memorial service for a mutual friend, but it was interesting. I was struggling whether I wanted to share this or not because I had the opportunity, to say hello to him in passing and realized that even though we'd met once before, he had no idea who I was. And then I realized, of course, it's been more than 15 years, and I wasn't anybody special 15 years ago either. And of course, I was much prettier then, so obviously he just didn't remember uh, having met me before. But I bring that up though because we all have our own path in life, and Daniel's well known. Everybody sees him all the time. We kind of think we know him because he's such a strong part of our lives if we follow his music at all and enjoy it. And there's no reason for him to know me. And so, even though he's an important part of my life, I'm only important to him in that I'm another one of his supporters, and we don't always know who our supporters are. There are people that support us in ways that we'll never really fully appreciate, and we support others in ways that they'll never fully appreciate. Just, I mean, it could be something as simple as the homeless person at the intersection when you're waiting for that red light to finally turn green so you can move along. And, you're sitting there and you're making that decision, do I contribute to their life today or do I not? And we have to wrestle with our own spirituality at that point as to how we feel at that time, what else is going on. But let's get back into the talk for today, which is titled a Sum of the Whole, which came to me just as I was watching the news, as I do less and less of now, because I'm less angry at the world this year than I was in the last few years, and I'm not really trying to fuel that anger anymore. And I realize that even though there are people in the world who just seem to be diabolically opposed to what I think, and I'm thinking, why are they here? Can't they get it and let's all get on the same page on some of these issues that we're talking about? Why are so many people wasting so much of their energy trying to make life harder for people instead of just moving forward with helping each other? And so that's where this idea came from, is that in spirit we're all one. It's like, what the heck? How could this be? But in spirit there is no definition of them or they. There's no infidel, there's no devil, there's no one else to blame. We are stuck with this sometimes challenging truth that we are all part of something bigger than us. We are interlocked as a whole being. And as individuals, we are as independent as free choice allows. Each of us is an individualization of spirit. Each is infused and united with Spirit's infinite power, yet each of us is an individual with skills and talents unique to us. Some of us love to study, others not so much. Some are clever and quick-witted, others seem a little slow. Some of us love to entertain while others are shy and withdrawn. Yet we are all part of the whole being of Spirit. Spirit needs all of us to be whole. Spirit is infinite, isn't it? Which means it is everything. It is everywhere. It encompasses all of us. The teacher Jesus, more than 2,000 years ago, used the comparison of our human body with our spiritual being. Pointing out, well, of course, I don't think Jesus was aware of fingerprints so much as we are, but that each fingerprint, each hand, each foot or ear, or any body part you want to point out is unique to each individual, and yet it's part of the whole individual, and each part provides an important contribution to our whole being. But separate any of those parts from the body and they cease to provide a positive contribution. The body may live on, but it is diminished. It is less than it was with the whole of its parts. And when a person chooses to separate themselves from spirit through their beliefs and actions, their contribution to the whole is in the immediate no longer positive. Now, let me just take a little side trip here for a second to remind us that, even though there is a separation, the missing part can still provide the potential for a positive contribution. We know that a person missing a limb may be inspired to excel in a whole new direction because what they thought they were going to do yesterday is no longer really possible. So they find a new way to express themselves, and they inspire, they become an inspiration to us. We know that we're told that sightless people compensate with enhanced hearing and maybe a better sense of smell and just a better sense of knowing. Maybe they can feel a person enter a room and know that they use senses that we sighted people don't take advantage of so much. So spirit is always redefining itself as well. It evolves with each new moment. This spirit thing is constantly in a state of growth, isn't it? Every time we make a decision, every time we put a command into the universe, Spirit, who loves us, says, okay, let me build on that. 10 minutes ago, had no idea I was going to be working on this project, but, Reverend Glenn said, hey, I need this, and it's like, okay, let's go to work. Let's build it. Yet it is always infinite, always the sum of all of its parts. As individuals, we are more in sync when we acknowledge and appreciate our differences. Don Miguel Ruiz, in the fifth agreement, the follow-on book to the four agreements, which you're probably familiar with, he wrote that, you will hear the message and tell yourself the same message in a completely different way, according to your point of view. Everything we bring with us to the moment contributes to the new information we've just received. I am not a scientist, but I know what scientists do. And I also recognize that my reaction to a given stimulus is likely to be different from that of a scientist. I might see something and go and just have a total emotional reaction, whether that's horrible or that's wonderful, or somewhere in between. And and a hardcore scientist who's used to taking things apart and looking at how they work might say, well, that's an interesting thing to happen. I wonder what the mechanics are that caused us to get to that point. What's causing that flower to smell so wonderful? Let me dissect it and figure that out. I wouldn't have that reaction. A scientist might if that's their field. Ruiz writes, I am only one half of the message. You are the other half. And I am responsible for what I say, but I'm not responsible for what you understand. Wow. I have to remember that as I'm giving you this message, as I'm sharing this information with you, that you have no idea what has happened in my life up to this moment, and I really don't have a full picture of anything that's happened with you. So the same stimulus might affect both of us in radically different ways, in the same way that the scientist intakes the aroma of a beautiful flower much different than I might. Although we might both enjoy it, our minds come from different backgrounds and our reactions may be somewhat different. You know, I'm also not an auto mechanic, but I know a lot about cars and I know what mechanics do. And I've learned that when I take my car to my mechanic, whom I trust with my life basically, you know, I tell my mechanic what I experienced in the car, and I use examples that my mechanic can relate to regarding what a car might do. You know, it's like, it sounded sort of like this, or it felt like that. But I've learned to avoid suggesting what the cause of the condition is. Because I've learned that my mechanic has a wealth of information far beyond what I know about cars. And the same symptoms might suggest something totally different to him. So I just say, you know, I sort of had this experience, and he'll come back and he'll go, oh yeah, I read about that last week in a magazine. It's something that might be this. Let's take a look at it. And lo and behold, we go in a direction that I never would have gone in, and solve the issue in a matter of minutes or hours at best. And, you know, if we'd gone down the path I was suggesting, we'd have been looking at the wrong end of the car. So I've learned to value his different experiences, his different skills. And I have a variety of skills and a variety of strengths within that skill set. But as I awakened spiritually, I've begun to more appreciate that other people have skills too. And if they're better at something than I am, it's good for me to recognize that they're better at this than I am, and take their lead and allow myself to glow in their value and appreciate their value. Now, sometimes I enjoy solving the puzzle, and sometimes I just want the puzzle solved. And if I want to solve the puzzle, then I don't care how long it takes or what it costs. We get into that. But if I just need the puzzle solved, I just want to get my car back on the road. I don't tell my mechanic how to fix it. I just let him fix it. We are interdependent, not independent. Spirit is all of us. Now, some traditional religions are taught by individuals who've lost sight of our truth in that way. Human interpretations of the word, the original message of spirit, have taken the form of control mechanisms. Piety scorecards against which we can be judged. Are we eating the right foods? Do we praise God enough? Are we wearing the right clothes? You know, spirit knows our hearts. We cannot fool spirit into thinking something about us that is not true. And even more profound, spirit does not judge us. So who are we trying to fool? Putting on a show for those humans who would judge us, and do so only to raise their own opinion of themselves. We don't need to put on a show for those people. Spirit doesn't care. So we find ourselves in this challenge of knowing that we are all one, knowing we are interdependent, knowing we need each other, and knowing that Spirit accepts each of us right where we are. And knowing life could be so much better if there were not so many ill-informed, willfully misinformed, fearful, self-righteous people, and those willing to exploit them. The simplicity of our truth is obscured by the fog of our existence within a society seeking truth without an understanding of truth. Part of our truth is to maintain our alignment with Spirit. Remember me saying that Spirit does not judge us? Being in alignment means we too cannot judge. Not ourselves, or, wait for it, not others. I know you're saying, but Reverend Glenn, the others are holding us back. They're ruining it for the rest of us. It's like what I tell my team on the job. If it was easy, anybody could do it. Each of us is on a different level of spiritual awareness, and each of us evokes our spiritual truth uniquely and at various intensities at various times. And Spirit accepts and loves each of us right where we are. It is not pleased when we grow. It is not disappointed when we fail. It just accepts us right where we are. Like a ship lost in fog, stop looking and listen. Stop trying to look like the perfect individualization of Spirit. Stop putting on a show of piety and reverence. Spirit knows our hearts. When we are in alignment, Spirit knows our gratitude. When we treat others with love, we are reflecting the image of Spirit. When we accept others right where they are, we are honoring Spirit. When we lay aside judgment, Spirit flows through us unrestricted. The voice from within guides us as surely as the sounds of the sea inform the fog-bound sailor of rocks or reefs unseen. The voice from within tells us what foods are healthy for us. The voice from within nags us to exercise, reminds us to carry an umbrella and to look both ways before crossing the street. The voice from within greets each stranger as a trusted friend. The sound of a wave on a reef may bring alarm to the sailor, but the sound of the wave is the sailor's friend, informing of danger nearby. The wave does not judge the reef, nor care if the sailor heeds the warning. Spirit informs through that voice from within, then passes silently over our personal reef, continuing on as the whole ocean that it is, leaving us with a choice. Sail on toward the sound or turn away. Spirit does not judge our choice any more than the wave judges the reef. Sail on if that is what you need. Your shipwreck will enrich others when your goods wash up on the beach. Spirit gives one the disaster they expected and delivers a windfall of profit to someone who expected nothing less. Our interdependence is Spirit in action. We sometimes think our goal is to all reach nirvana together, sing kumbaya, and settle into some angelic chorus existence. The nature of Spirit, as I understand it, leads in a different direction. The Spirit I understand is in a constant state of evolution. It is infinite, no beginning and no end. Therefore, the science I understand tells me the spiritual existence is one of infinite evolution. Each of us is one small step, one brick in a road with no destination. Just a journey that continues to unfold. It seems inconsistent. There are so many opinions when all of us come from the same source and are headed toward the same end. But when we understand that the journey is the goal, the bumps in the road, the washouts, the detours, and the breakdowns all start to make sense. those ill-informed, willfully misinformed, fearful and self-righteous people, and those willing to exploit them, are not keeping us from knowing Spirit. They are Spirit washing over the reef, inviting us to choose. Shipwreck or salvage, the ocean cares not and provides both without judgment. So thank you.